Welcome to Davey Dave's Take. Today we're talking about F1 the movie. The new F1 movie. Yeah, F1 the movie is about F1. If you don't know what F1 is, it's Formula One racing. It's probably the best motor racing in the whole entire world. I know a little bit about F1. I've watched a little bit of Drive to Survive, and they actually make a joke about that in this movie. So I know some of the stars. I kind of understand how the season works, how the races work, things like that. So I'm definitely not an expert on this stuff or know much about it compared to like other sports. I know it's extremely popular. I know a lot of people love it, and Warner Brothers and Apple TV's marketing department probably ran their analytics and said, hey, if we make an F1 movie, we'll probably make a fuck ton of money. And I don't think it's that simple. Yes, you could just make an F1 movie and you'll probably make a lot of money, but if you wanted to make like a fuck ton of money, you gotta make sure it's good. So wisely, they got the same team that made Top Gun Maverick. And the reason why Top Gun Maverick is such an incredible summer blockbuster is because it's real. It's real jets. The sequences feel like you're actually there. It makes it so much more exciting. And I'm happy to say, I think F1 is honestly a worthy follow-up to Top Gun Maverick. It's nowhere near as good as Top Gun Maverick, but you can feel that this movie was made by the people who made Top Gun Maverick. Holy shit, the racing sequences in this movie are some of the best I've ever seen in an auto racing movie. You can just feel the cars here, the engines, the speed, the tight corners, the inches away from the other cars. It feels so real and it makes it so much more exciting. Seriously, this team should just get called on all the time to make movies like this, because this is how you're supposed to make a movie like this. The racing sequences are definitely the standout in this movie. They are fucking awesome. The sound design around them are incredible. The engines are so loud. You really feel like you're in that driver's seat. You feel like you're at this race. And I cannot even imagine the logistics of filming something like this. The continuity you have to think about when you're making a movie like this. Or even, I read that they filmed at actual Grand Prix, and the logistics of that. It is mind-blowing the distance this team goes to make real movies. And that's why movies like this should be applauded. And it is crafted amazingly here. Like seriously, the opening sequence, I was in. I'm like, I want 2.5 hours of this. And I get that for the most part. Most of this movie is racing. There are definitely parts in between those races that really develop characters and everything like that. We'll talk about that in a second, but I really was surprised about how much racing was actually in this movie, how many sequences, and it just made the movie so much more fun, and like I said, just so exciting. Something I feel that's not talked about too much with Top Gun Maverick, or not talked about enough, is how great the cinematography is in that movie. And that's what it feels like in F1. The shots where they're just hanging out in like the garage just look beautiful. It looks very slick. And then the shots where they're racing, everything looks great too. You understand what's going on. It feels grand in scale and just feels so well crafted. And another thing I think this film does well, I guess for the most part, is sort of explaining F1 to people. Some of the logistics and things that are happening in the race. Because there's a lot of maneuvers that happen. A lot of clever ones that Brad Pitt or the other characters do. And I feel like someone who's never watched F1 can kind of pick up on exactly what's going on. Even though an F1 race, there's a lot of complex shit that goes into it. And the movie does not stray away from the complex shit too. You can see how much work and effort and smart-ass people go into these races when it's building the cars, developing a plan around a certain track. Everything like that is in this movie. You could tell the people who made this movie really love F1. Even though this is probably an F1 product, it definitely is. There's a lot of sponsors, a lot of F1 stuff. But this movie was made so well, and there was so much attention to detail and things like that, that it does feel like it was made out of love in a way. I could compare this to like Gran Turismo. I didn't like Gran Turismo. That felt like a cheap product that they didn't really think about, and they made a lot of wrong choices. F1 the movie, you could tell they took their time, made sure they hired the right team, because they know F1 is very important to a lot of people around the world, and obviously their marketing analytics department probably said if you make a good F1 movie, you'll make a fuck ton of money, and that's what's probably going to happen. But also with this movie that I really liked wasn't just the racing. I love the story here. We have our characters that have real development. I love Brad Pitt here. Brad Pitt's just always so much fun to watch on screen, but he does a great job here. This character he's playing has a past. He's like a bad boy. He's an asshole, but he plays it so well, and he's always so much fun to watch on screen. But everyone else, all the characters, all the other side characters, there's real development there. You can see this team sort of building together throughout the movie. And that's another thing that's important with this film is the power of teamwork and stuff and how the team needs to develop as well, which I thought was honestly a great message to see in a movie like this. I guess I could go into some of my complaints with the movie. They're not really complaints because the movie was so much fun and it's a great summer blockbuster, honestly. But I will say the story is definitely predictable in that like Top Gun Maverick sort of way. Like that same type of predictable story arcs and story beats. There's some corny lines that sometimes is a little annoying, even though there's some parts towards the beginning of the movie that sort of surprised me. And also, I think overall the movie does a great job when it comes to editing. Like I kind of said before, I can't even imagine how you would edit a sequence with probably all that film that you probably have to go through. But there are definitely some times with some racing sequences where I think things are happening a little too fast, which is kind of ironic. It's a racing movie. So because of that, though, it can feel a little clunky at some points, especially sometimes in the final race, which is a little disappointing. But the final race is fucking awesome. It's exciting. And I love how everything does wrap up. This movie's almost 2 hours and 40 minutes, and you're probably thinking I'm going to say it probably could have been shorter. Honestly, I don't think so. This movie flew through. It did not feel as runtime at all. It felt like it was like 2 hours and 20 minutes, but I can't think of a sequence or a scene that they should remove. I guess there's a couple of plot points that are sort of brought up and never really talked about again. There's definitely a thing with like a forced villain that was a little irritating, but the thing is, those issues, you almost forget about them because of how exciting the racing sequences are and the overall simple story with our characters, their development, and it makes those races so much more exciting. And this team knows the most important part about making a movie like this is the realism when it comes to the racing and those sequences at the end of the day. So if you're a big fan of F1 racing, you're going to love this movie. I love how this movie has real life racing stars in it, or they're kind of part of the plot point. But I think in general, you'll love it. But if you're just a fan of summer blockbuster movies, a fan of like Top Gun Maverick, that type of filmmaking, everything like that, I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this movie. I did. It's a worthy summer blockbuster. It's one of the types of summer blockbusters I love when studios make films like this. And I definitely think it's worth your time checking out. I'm going to give F1 the movie 8.5 Davey Daves. This is definitely one of the better racing movies I can think of recent memory. And I think when you combine that they made this movie like real and it was good and the F1 brand, I can't imagine this not making so much money. My only concern would maybe be if F1 watchers don't really watch movies that much. I don't know. This just seems like a slam dunk for Warner Brothers, and if it's not, what the fuck do I know? So, F1 the movie. Let me know what you guys thought of it once you've seen it. I'm curious to hear, and thank you so much for watching. Click here to see more of Davey's Takes.